Morning, everybody. Riding on the city of New Orleans, in North Central's Monday morning rain. 15 cars and 15 restless riders, 3 conductors, 25 sacks of mail. All along the southbound Odyssey, the train pulls in a can keep rolling past houses, farms, and fields, passing trains that have no name, freight yards full of old black men, and the graveyards of the rusted automobile. Good morning, America, how are you? Oh, don't you know me? I'm your native son. I'm the trains that call the city of New Orleans. I'm gone 500 miles when the day is done, dealing card games with the old man in the club car. Penny a point, ain't no one keeping score. Pass the paper back that holds the bottle. Feel the wheels rumbling neath the floor. And the sons of Pullman porters and the sons of engineers ride their father's magic carpet made of steel. Mothers with their babes asleep, rocking to that gentle beat, and the rhythm of the rail is all they feel. Come on in. Good morning, America, how are you? Oh, don't you know me? I'm your native son. I'm the train that calls the city of New Orleans. I'll be gone 500 miles when the day is done. Nighttime on the city of New Orleans, changing cars in Memphis, Tennessee. Halfway home, we'll be there by morning. Through the Mississippi darkness, rolling down to the sea. And all the times that people seem to fade into a back room, and the steel rail still ain't heard the news. Doctor sings his songs again, the passengers with these refrain. This train got disappeared, the railroad blues. Here we go. Good morning, America, how are you? Oh, don't you know me? I'm your native son. I'm the train that calls the city of New Orleans. I'll be gone 500 miles when the day is done.
Good morning. I'm Ann Scarborough, a member of the Board of Trustees here at South Valley UU Society. My pronouns are she, her, hers. In the words of Rumi, come, come, whoever you are. We here at South Valley add, you are welcome here whether you come with laughter in your heart or tears in your eyes. No matter where you've been, no matter where you're going, you are welcome here. No matter what body brought you in the door, no matter whom you love, you are welcome here. Whether you believe in God all of the time, some of the time, or none of the time, you are welcome here. This is a community of open minds, loving hearts, and willing hands. You are welcome here at South Valley Unitarian Universalist Society.
Good morning. Good morning. My name is Karen Madrone, and I am the interim minister here this year. My pronouns are she and hers. Let us begin our worship today by singing number 193, Our Faith is But a Single Gem. Please stand and body your spirit.
Please join us in the words in your order of service as we light our chalice. We light this chalice for the warmth of love, for the light of truth, and for the energy of action. You may be seated. Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Mary Norton. I am today's lay worship leader. My pronouns I use are she and hers. I would like to welcome you this morning to South Valley Unitarian Universalist Society. We are an intentionally diverse religious community, and all are welcome here. We would like to extend an especially warm welcome to those who are visiting us for the first time. We are so glad you're here. We would love to get to know you. This is a caring, supportive community. In the chapel at the back of the sanctuary, there is a book to write down your joys and concerns. Please feel free to share a joy or concern there. A member of our Caring Circle team will follow up with you. Children are always welcome in this sanctuary during the service. After the story, a nursery is available downstairs for friends younger than preschool age. Children ages 3 through 12th grade are invited to participate in our age-grouped religious education programs downstairs. We also broadcast the service on closed circuit TV downstairs in the social hall and in the nursery. After the service, everyone is invited downstairs for fellowship, and since this is the first Sunday of the month, a great potluck, and to check out the Happening Hub, where you will learn about the many activities that are part of the South Valley community. In addition, in the order of service, there are announcements that will help you learn about the ways to participate in this community. As we begin, I ask you to please place your electronic devices in worship mode. We encourage you to take pictures, post on Facebook, and tweet, but do so quietly. Thank you. Now, we would like to share the warmth of our community with our neighbor, so please turn and greet your neighbor and welcome them into worship.
As you go back to your seat, we'd like to invite the young and young at heart to come up for the time for allegiance. All right, can y'all hear me okay? You guys can hear me, I know. I know, that's what I'm working on. I would love some help. Perfect. Thank you, John. Great. All right, perfect. Good. Thank you. All right. So I am Rebecca Britt. My pronouns are she, her, and hers. I'm going to read you a story called Matthew and Tilly. And when I was looking at the story, I noticed something. I'm going to ask one person, or anyone can raise their hand, but I'm going to ask for one person's help. Does anyone know what a dedication is in a book? A dedication. Not at all. That's okay, because I do. Oh, I see Jared.
It's when at the beginning of the book, I don't know, they dedicate the book to someone.
Yeah. Thank you, Leo and Sharon, for the tag team help. So in this book, the way a dedication can kind of tell you what the goal of the book is, what matters to the person. And this book, Rebecca C. Jones, who wrote the story, dedicated it to my brother David, who always won. And I think a lot of people have brothers like David. And Beth Peck, who made the art of the book, dedicated to all the kids in the neighborhood. So this book is dedicated to people they really care about. And you can kind of tell during the story. It's called Matthew and Tilly. Matthew and Tilly were friends. They rode bikes together, and they played hide and seek together. They sold lemonade together, and when business was slow, they played sidewalk games together. I think Matthew and Tilly live in a city where things are really close together. Maybe you have an idea? They play hopscotch a lot, just like them. And sometimes they ate ice cream together. Once they even rescued a lady's kitten from a tree together. The lady gave them money for gumball machines. So later they chewed gum together and remembered how brave they had been. No, I just got the news. We do not swallow gum. Very important. This is true. Sometimes, though, Matthew and Tilly got sick of each other. voice. It was ready to break. No, it wasn't, Tilly said. It was a brand new crayon and you broke it. You're always breaking everything. Stop being so picky, Matthew said. You're always picky and sneaky and mean. Oh my gosh. Well, you're stupid, Tilly said. You're so stupid and stinky and mean. My goodness. Yes, Aurora, what do you think? Aurora, it's not a very nice thing to say, and boy, do I agree. Matthew stomped up the stairs by himself. He has such confidence right now. Matthew found a piece of chalk and began drawing numbers and squares in the sidewalk by herself. Tilly did. Upstairs, Matthew got out his cash register and some cans so he could play store. He piled the cans extra high, and he put prices on everything. This was the best store he had ever made, probably because picky and stinky and mean old Tilly wasn't around to mess it up. But he didn't have a customer, and playing store wasn't much fun without a customer. Yeah, Aurora observed the beginning of see, friends. I think this is fixable. Tilly finished drawing the numbers and squares. She drew them really big and lots of squiggly lines. This was the best sidewalking she had ever drawn, probably because that stupid and sneaky and mean and old Matthew wasn't around to mess it up. But she didn't have anyone to play with. And a sidewalking wasn't much fun without another player. Matthew looked out the window and wondered what Tilly was doing. Tilly looked up at Matthew's window and wondered what he was doing. She smiled just a little, and that was enough for Matthew. "I'm sorry," he called. "So am I," said Tilly. And Matthew ran downstairs so they could play together again. So my friends listening noticed that they were saying things that were not kind and were feeling really upset. And sometimes when you're really upset with someone, you can forget how much you like them and you want to fix it. But they figured it out. So we're going to talk about it downstairs in our classes. So what we're going to do, I want to talk to you for sure. So my friend Isabel is at the back, and we're going to get up with our teachers and go to our classes, and then we're going to hang out in the social hall and go to our classes. All right, thank you.
To begin our time of meditation, I'm just going to repeat that, just saying that, and just listen to the words and take this in. Go now in peace, go now in peace. May the spirit of love surround you. Everywhere, everywhere you may go. Just contemplate on those couple of words here in silence. Spirit of love within us, May we hold these words to be true. May we remember that the spirit of love is always with us. May we feel it surrounding us in everything we do and our interactions within this community and with everybody we interact with throughout our lives. May we be that spirit for other people. May we bring love. May we be love in all things. In this moment, if there is anyone you would like to lift up as needing prayer that our community needs to know about, please lift their names up here and now. For all those souls that we are holding in our hearts, who are always in our minds and thoughts, we send them our love and blessings. May this community continue to be a place of love and joy for all people. Amen.
This song is called Give Yourself to Love. It's by Kate Wolf. And I so much appreciated the beauty of you guys joining me on the city of New Orleans. I'm hoping that I can teach you the chorus and you'll join me on this one as well. The chorus is, you must give yourself to love, if love is what you're after. Open up your heart to tears and laughter and give yourself to love. Give yourself to love. Right. Kind friends all gather round. Something I would say. What brings us together, He has blessed us all today. Love has made a circle that holds us all inside. Strangers are as family, loneliness can't hide. You must give yourself to love, if love is what you're after. Open up your heart to tears and laughter and give yourself to love. Give yourself to love. Walk these mountains in the rain. Learn to love the wind. And up before the sunrise, watch the day begin. I always knew I'd find you, though I never did know how. Like sunshine on a cloudy day, stand before me now. You must give yourself to love. Love is what you're after. Open up your heart to tears and laughter and give yourself to love. Give yourself to love. Love is born of fire, planted like a seed. Love can give you everything, but give you what you need. Love comes when you're ready. Love comes when you're afraid. It'll be your best teacher, the best friend you have made. You must give yourself to love. Love is what you're after. Open up your heart to tears and laughter and give yourself to love. Give yourself to love.
And now David will tell his South Valley story.
not sure who created that one, or who had the cojones to invite me up here to talk. I don't know. I didn't bring any words because I really just wanted to basically just talk directly from my heart. First thing I want to say is how grateful I am to this community. We've made such incredible friends, and your gifts to us have been tremendous, really tremendous. I rely on this church for so much, and I never thought that I would rely on a church. My father and his father were both atheists, maybe even angry atheists, and so I did not gravitate to this kind of thing. Kim did. My wife, when she was in undergrad, or finishing up her undergrad, I had finished up about 6 months before her. We were dating, and she was going to an evangelical kind of church. I don't exactly remember what the moniker was. And it was seriously evangelical. The kind that doesn't allow music, doesn't allow dancing, and sure as hell doesn't allow premarital sex. That latter, I think, is what partially pulled her away, I guess. Although maybe that's my ego talking. I don't know. The truth is that she was deeply questioning at the time as well. She was definitely chafing against what was happening there. In '87, I came out here on a hang gliding vacation. And so I spent 2 weeks out of the point of the mountain, and then went back to Southern Ohio. Kim and I are from essentially Appalachia in Southern Ohio. It feels a lot more like West Virginia than it does what you may have experienced in most of Ohio. And I went back, and again, we were dating at the time, and I told her, I have to move out here. There's no way. I've got to do this. And I said, please come with me, and thank God she did. We came out here in '88. And so I was very involved in stuff out here immediately, but she had quit a community. It may have been mildly toxic, but she had quit a community, and she felt increasingly, lost or undone. And so she decided that she was going to look for a community that she could feel the same kinds of things in. And I didn't know anything about anything in terms of religion, but we tried a couple of things, and I don't know why, but we washed up here, and it has changed our lives. It has truly been an absolute gift, and I want to thank you. We came here right before Sean Dennison had begun. For some of you new people, Sean was really quite something. He was a real force to be reckoned with here. Good stuff. And we jumped in, with both feet in everything. We were almost immediately part of the worship committee, which basically sort of makes Sunday services, or works with the preacher to make Sunday services. We met people who were part of something called CUPS. This is Covenant of Unitarian Universalist Pagans. And Kim had a kind of awakening, a kind of epiphany. She was like, whoa, this is literally who I am. This was just waiting around for me. And I was like, yeah, that's sure. In CUPS, we began to wonder how we could give to the community, how we could not be a separate entity within the church, but very much an interest group that gave to the church. And we started a monthly breakfast that lasted almost 6 years. And that really was a kind of formative thing on us. We made wonderful friends and sort of glued us into this community. Not that this community is not wide open and ready, but that really produced something. I had a short and perhaps shameful stint on the board that I still have pain over. And I'm sorry about that. And then I joined the choir. And I had never been in a choir. I don't really take to that very well. I really love to sing, and I love performing. But I had difficulty learning the stuff, but I did like it. And then what really changed was people began to say, hey, would you like to sing this pop song and maybe play guitar? And I met a whole bunch of people, John and Sutton and Drew and Richard and Colin, and I'm leaving off all kinds of names I know, who were doing that kind of thing. And if Kim had an awakening because of paganism, I had an awakening because of performing. I had never performed in front of anybody, and I began to just really crave it. And then I saw Deborah, oh my gosh, I've lost her last name. Rosenberg, thank you. Perform a song that she had written. And I was like, oh, yeah. I've been a poet sort of all of my life. And I was like, I can do that. I can do that. So I took a couple of songs that I had written to Richard and showed him these songs. And he was like, yeah, let's do this. And what was born out of that has literally changed my life. I formed a band called Buzzard Whiskey with Sutton and Richard and Amy and Colin. And because of, or with your help, I made enough money through a Kickstarter campaign to create a CD in a real studio, which was, wow. So So how do I tie this all back together? As I was driving here, I was trying to take an emotional temperature, what I was feeling, and I kind of feel right now like I've been sort of kicked in the stomach because of what's happening just lately. And I am also so grateful to be able to come to a place like this and be able to sort of, I don't know, grieve, I guess, with you. So I just want to say that I feel very, very lucky. And thank you. Thank you.
In the spirit of serving our wider community, we at South Valley split our Sunday morning offering with a charitable organization that aligns with our values and principles. For January and February, we have chosen the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, NAACP, Salt Lake Branch. The NAACP is a civil rights organization that aims to improve the political, educational, social, and economic status of minority groups. They work to eliminate racial prejudice, to raise awareness of the adverse effects of racial discrimination, and to take lawful action to secure its elimination. They also promote voter registration and provide education scholarships. Will you join me in saying the words printed in the order of service for our offering? We are this church. We are its hands, its heart, its voice. Together we share the wealth of this community and sustain it with our gifts.
God no nails in the floor. God no keys on the door. Empty frames on the wall. Ain't no gold in the hall. You can tell where love and storm. Make a baby on your own. The house that has no love is a house that never would. Got a knocked off on the stair. Got no car. Thank you.
The ushers are bringing up the offering that was just collected, and I would like to give it this blessing now. Please join me in the spirit of this blessing. Love through us blesses and multiplies all that we have, all that we give, and all that we receive. May these gifts be a blessing to South Valley and to the NAACP. Thank you.
This reading is by Rebecca Ann Parker. Even when our hearts are broken by our own failure, or the failure of others cutting into our lives, even when we have done all we can and life is still broken, there is a universal love that has never broken faith with us, and it never will.
For the anthem today, I'd like to ask you to participate once more. We'll be singing a hymn that I think you're familiar with. It's number 123, the great hymnal, Spirit of Life. Here's the plan. We'll sing it together as a group in English, and then the choir will sing it in Spanish, translation. And why don't we then again end as a group, and if you need a challenge, an added challenge is to echo the dynamics that you hear sing from the choir, right? I'll say a couple other more words. We're looking forward to a date in April. The 5th is going to be Music Ministry Sunday. There'll be a lot of music that day. And I'd just like to encourage you all once again, if there are any of you that play music, play instruments, or sing, to please reach out if you'd be interested in contributing your talents. Those of you who've sung in the choir in the past, or even if you haven't, another friendly reminder, we're always looking for more members of the choir. We've sort of been the few and the proud the past few weeks. So if you have time to spare, please consider joining us. You'd be ever so welcome. Here we go. We'll start with 123.
was really beautiful. Thank you to the choir for being willing to sing in another language. This morning's service was actually supposed to be about imagining a South Valley that was multicultural, that had a variety of musical and spoken expression, that had multiple languages spoken here as the norm, that had people from many different countries and life experiences as part of the community. That was my plan about a month ago. Then, as I continued reading in the book, Mistakes and Miracles, Congregations on the Road to Multiculturalism by Nancy Palmer Jones and Karen Lynn, I changed course. I took into consideration what I've been hearing in conversations here and what the trends I'm noticing and what is happening here and what the people are saying. And I've decided to do just a slightly different angle than what I thought was needed a few weeks ago. I've been giving a lot of thought to what South Valley needs right now as we go into the stewardship campaign and the upcoming ministerial candidate weekend. I had an idea, it was one thing, just a couple of weeks in thinking about what does multiculturalism look like here, but I've come to realize I was wrong. That is truly one of the underpinnings of my theology, in case you didn't know or haven't heard me say this before, but one of my mantras is, I could be wrong. And maybe try that with me. I could be wrong. Okay. You might want to try that for yourself every once in a while when you feel stuck. I realized what is really needed right now is reminding all of us, even me, that what we are here about is love. I remember early on, one of the definitions of religion actually is remembering. We are remembering who we are. And so for today, I would like to remind myself and you that what we are here about today and everything that we do is love. Nothing more, nothing less. Love is what this entire faith is about. Love is why this community exists. Love is why many of you volunteer your time and energy and you give generously to this society. If it isn't about love, I really don't know what it is. There is some other reason to devote many hours of service to Unitarian Universalism. I haven't found it yet. Most of you that I've gotten to know came to Unitarian Universalism from another faith. You came to this faith with a sigh of relief, to have found a home that not only allows questions, but encourages them, practically forces you to ask questions. We like to think that we're so great because we stay in our minds. This is a religion that doesn't insist that you have specific answers to life's questions. In fact, we relish the questions more than the answers. But beyond being able to ask questions, something we don't talk specifically about because we use lots of other words around it, because we tend to be thinkers more than feelers, is love. When I was thinking about this, I remembered a Parker Palmer quote. If you don't know Parker Palmer, I highly encourage you to look him up. He's a person who speaks and writes about education. In particular, in one of his quotes is after writing many, many books and many, many speeches, he said, all of this, everything, all of this is about love. Let us not forget that. We are here, we are all here, even if today is your first time at this society, for love. From Universalism's early days in the United States, their entire focus was about spreading the good news that God loves all people, not that God damns everyone to hell. Universalism became known as the no-hell church. There are people, if you go to General Assembly, people sell shirts that say the no-hell church. That's very true. If you ever wonder what are a few words you can say to describe us, you can say we are the no-hell church. One of the early Universalist preachers, John Murray, spread the word so much that his biographer later gave him these words as part of a rousing speech and something he wrote about him. It's interesting, all this time, years I've been studying these people, I thought that John Murray actually said this, but it's one of those myths that gets carried down. It was actually his biographer who said he said this, but the spirit of this man was so much about this that he was given these words: give them hope, not hell. Travel the byways and highways and share the message, hope, not hell. These Universalists were convinced that God was love for all people, and they were determined that they needed to tell people about this. They knew what it is to hear over and over again every Sunday that there is something wrong with you, that God is against you. So they felt like it was their mission. They had to go tell this other story. They traveled by horseback throughout the countryside, telling whoever would listen to them that God is a God of love. Their understanding of God was truly about love, and they believed that they had a life-saving message, especially at a time when there were revivals happening around the country that were spreading the opposite message of damnation. The story about hell isn't told quite so much in many of our larger denominations now, but I believe that this message of a life-saving story, life-saving love is still very much needed. This is the message of Unitarian Universalism. Many of us today may not believe in this specific understanding of God as love. As said in the quote earlier, many of us may not believe in God right now at all. Maybe some of us have had difficulty reconciling the church we left, for whatever reason, with the idea of a loving God. When you've been told you're wrong for so many years, it's hard to believe that there is something out there, something beyond yourself that really is about love. And yet, we are all looking for, in this life, is love. I'm convinced of it. I would bet everything I have on believing that what we all need as humans is validation, caring, connection, and love. We need to receive it as much as we need to give it. We need to be in community in order to give and receive, which I believe is one of the reasons we all stay in this faith, even when it gets hard. For those of you who have been here a short while, you're still learning some of the foibles and frustrations of this church and of being in a volunteer community. For those of you who have been here a long time, you've learned that the early calling you felt to this faith, that early excitement and headiness, wears off. And like all long-term relationships, you begin to see where the cracks are. Eventually, you learn about times in our UU history as a whole, and in this congregation in particular, where we didn't always live up to our ideals. We didn't always act according to what we say we believe. Pain was caused. People's feelings were hurt, and some people left Unitarian Universalism and this community, and they have never come back. That is reality. And when that happened, you began to get jaded. Maybe your heart got broken by this community when you realized that this place of refuge for you is also a place that has the potential to hurt individuals within it, and in the larger UU world, it has the capacity to hurt sometimes entire groups of people. We are still making mistakes. I saw an apology issued last week by the Unitarian Universalist Ministers Association for something they did that wasn't as inclusive as they intended to be. When you are part of an organization of people, any group of people, anywhere, eventually your heart gets broken. When you continue to put yourself out there, pain will sometimes happen. People don't live up to their promises, and organizations fall far from their ideals. And yet, we are still here, some of you all the way back to the beginning of this congregation being founded. I wonder why that is. I believe that mature faith requires knowing that we will all make mistakes. And when we as individuals make them, or as a community makes them, we learn to ask forgiveness, and we learn to seek forgiveness when we have messed up. In community, we learn to work through our differences and realize that there are ways that we could be wrong, and we learn that we can change our minds. Perhaps we learn to take a less rigid stance on things. We wonder what happens if we try new things, like sing a song in Spanish, as was done today. Love helps us step out of our comfort zones in amazing ways we could not have imagined before. Love makes us willing to see things from points of view we hadn't considered, and makes us willing to change our minds. For me, part of love means realizing that we are all doing the best we can. We are all making decisions and living our lives to the best of our abilities. We are not always going to come to the same decisions or come to the same conclusions as a group. That is what happens because we're all different from each other. But love is what keeps us focused in on working through misunderstandings, old hurts, stories that are still causing pain, like David told about earlier. But it keeps us in community. Love is what gives us the courage to stand up for ourselves when we need to say that something someone else did hurt us. And it also allows us to draw boundaries. So we can say, I love you as a person, but I cannot accept certain behaviors. Love doesn't say we accept everything. We can still protect and take care of ourselves. But also at the same time notice that sometimes we protect ourselves and put up boundaries when maybe we don't have to. Maybe we can step back just a little bit and be a little bit more open. If we are willing to look at situations with new eyes, perhaps our heart can be opened just a little bit more. Love is what transforms us. Love is, David did not know that I had changed the sermon title, and still he told about being transformed himself, how being a part of this community transformed him. Love will do that to you. Love is what is calling Unitarian Universalism forward into dismantling our own systems of white supremacy, places where we have not lived up to our ideals. Love is what draws those of you who will be taking part in the book discussion on white fragility that Janice Reese is leading this month, and the class that Susan Ezagara is leading beginning this Wednesday on racism. More information about this is in your order of service. I encourage you to check them out. Love is what causes us to examine our hearts for where we are stuck around our differences about others, where we notice we are telling a story about someone else. Maybe it's us. Maybe I'm the one who is wrong. Love is what helps us see where we have made ourselves right, instead of being open to how our rightness could cause pain to others. You may have noticed that I have added the Rumi quote expanded upon by Reverend Bob LaValle back to the beginning of the service. After hearing repeatedly that folks here missed it, but even more importantly, that people were sad without it and its absence was causing pain, I put it back, and the board greeter will be reading it each Sunday. I still think it's important to have lay worship leaders, so it is my intention to have both the board greeter and the lay worship leader in every service. I think it's important to have multiple voices. It is not just about me speaking here. In community, it's important to realize when we are stuck on something and when we need to let it go. My wish to have a different beginning of the worship service for a variety of reasons is not more important than pain I may have been causing. I realize that this community has been through many changes in the last year and a half. If returning the board greeter welcome brings comfort for you, then that is what is needed right now. My hope for this community is for continued healing and maturational growth. You have opened my heart and helped me see where I could be more loving, more caring, and for that, I thank you. And another way we are living that today is that at the back of the sanctuary, right underneath the chalice painting, are 3 letters that this community is going to send out to local synagogues, giving them our support in this time of rising anti-Semitism. We live in this community and the larger community. We are spreading love together. So after the service, please take a few minutes to go sign your name on those letters. As I was preparing this service, I couldn't help, because of course I grew up Baptist and grew up with a lot of scripture, I couldn't help but think of these verses from 1 Corinthians 13, 4 through 8. They may be familiar to you. Love is patient, love is kind. It does not envy, it does not boast. It is not rude, it is not self-seeking. It is not easily angered. It keeps no record of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes. Love perseveres. Love never fails. I can't help but think that the Universalists were influenced by this because they built their theology on biblical scripture. I also can't help but think that if we were to embody a love that is not self-seeking, that is not easily angered, that keeps no record of wrongs, that always hopes and perseveres, we will be on our way to having a multicultural congregation. We will be open to change in whatever shape that comes. We will most likely still hurt each other accidentally because we are humans, but we will have the strength to reconcile and keep the door open when a hurt has taken place. One way today that we are going to be living that is for today's community chat, having an opportunity to hear and listen to each other, to hear each other's pain, and to support each other while we are going through our own changes here. My hope for South Valley and for all of you as individuals is to remember that why you are here, why you continue to stay in community, why you expend many hours of your precious time, and I'm very clear that most of us have very little extra time, but a lot of you are spending many volunteer hours here. You do all of this for love. In the words of James Vila Blake, which is also in the back of your gray hymnal, love is the spirit of this church. This is not specifically written down anywhere in your documents, but I believe this to be true about this community. Love is the spirit of this church. Service is its law. This is our great covenant to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. May it be so. Please join in body or spirit by singing number 145 as Tranquil Streams.
Thank
our chalice. Please join in saying the words printed in your order of service. We extinguish this chalice, but not the warmth of community, the light of truth, or the energy of action. We hold each other in our hearts until we meet again.
For today's benediction, I would like to lift up the words of one of your former ministers, Barbara Hamilton Hallway. Go now in peace, deeply regard each other, truly listen to each other, speak what each must speak. Be ready in every moment to disarm your own heart. Rejoice in this love you have begun. Amen. May it be so.